If you left Earth tonight, how long would it take to reach Mars, Jupiter, Pluto? The real answers are far more extreme than most people realize. Because when we look at diagrams of the solar system, everything seems close together. The planets appear neatly arranged. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, almost like stops on a train line. But those diagrams are lying to you. The truth is far stranger. In reality, the solar system is so enormous that light itself can take hours to cross it. And the farther you travel from Earth, the more you begin to understand a terrifying fact. Humanity is still trapped in its own cosmic backyard. Tonight, we're going on a journey across every planet in the solar system. And by the end, you'll understand not only how long it takes to reach them, but why reaching them is far harder than most people realize. Let's start with the closest destination, Mercury. At first glance, Mercury should be easy. After all, it's the closest planet to the Sun, and compared to the outer planets, it's practically next door. But Mercury hides one of the strangest secrets in space exploration. It's actually one of the hardest planets to reach, not because it's far away, because it's too close to the Sun. The Sun's gravity constantly pulls spacecraft inward, accelerating them faster and faster. Reaching Mercury isn't the challenge, stopping there is. NASA's Messenger spacecraft needed more than 6 years to arrive. 6 years to reach the closest planet to the Sun. The lesson is immediate. In space, distance isn't everything. Sometimes physics makes nearby destinations harder than distant ones. Next comes Venus. And Venus may be the most frightening planet in the solar system. From Earth, it looks beautiful, bright, calm, almost welcoming. But beneath its clouds lies a world of nightmares, temperatures hot enough to melt lead, atmospheric pressure strong enough to crush submarines, acidic clouds stretching across the sky. If Earth represents paradise, Venus represents what happens when a planet goes catastrophically wrong. Ironically, Venus is one of the fastest planets to reach. Some missions arrived in less than 4 months. Yet, despite being so close, humanity has never returned with modern landers capable of surviving for long. Because reaching Venus is easy. Surviving Venus is the real challenge. Then we arrive at the planet everyone asks about, Mars. The world humanity dreams of colonizing. The world where future generations may one day live. At its closest approach, Mars sits around 56 million kilometers away. That sounds enormous, but the reality feels even larger. Using today's technology, a journey to Mars takes roughly 7 to 9 months. Think about that. If you launch today, you would spend more than 200 consecutive days inside a metal spacecraft. No fresh air, no hospitals, no rescue missions, no way home. And by the time you arrive, Earth would appear as nothing more than a tiny star in the darkness. Yet Mars remains our best chance of becoming a multi-planetary species. Because unlike every other world we've discussed so far, Mars once looked surprisingly similar to Earth. It had rivers, lakes, perhaps even oceans. And somewhere beneath its dusty surface may still lie evidence that life once existed beyond Earth. Which is why Mars isn't just another destination. It's humanity's next great frontier. But beyond Mars, everything changes. The inner solar system ends and the giant worlds begin. First comes Jupiter, the king of planets, a world so large that more than 1/300 Earths could fit inside it. Yet Jupiter itself isn't the main attraction. Its moons are, especially Europa. Beneath Europa's frozen crust lies an ocean containing more water than all of Earth's oceans combined. Let that sink in. More water than Earth, hidden beneath ice. If life exists elsewhere in our solar system, Europa may be the most likely place to find it. But getting there isn't easy. Even the fastest spacecraft required years. Modern missions need roughly 5 to 6 years to reach Jupiter. And that's just the beginning, because Jupiter sits inside one of the most dangerous radiation environments in the entire solar system. A place capable of destroying spacecraft electronics and killing unprotected humans. The farther we travel, the less welcoming the solar system becomes. Then comes Saturn, perhaps the most beautiful world ever discovered. Its rings stretch hundreds of thousands of kilometers across space, and yet they remain astonishingly thin, like a giant cosmic razor blade floating in darkness. Saturn is home to Titan, a moon with rivers, lakes, rain, weather systems, entire landscapes shaped by liquid, but not water, liquid methane, an alien world that somehow feels strangely familiar. Reaching Saturn requires patience. The famous Cassini mission spent 7 years traveling through space before finally arriving. 7 years, longer than many people stay in school, longer than some careers. Yet every image Cassini returned changed our understanding of the solar system forever. And now we enter the realm very few humans ever think about, the ice giants, Uranus and Neptune. These worlds are so distant that only one spacecraft has ever visited them. Voyager 2. And that happened decades ago. A journey to Uranus requires more than a decade. A journey to Neptune can take even longer. Imagine launching a spacecraft today and not receiving the most important scientific discoveries until the 2040s. That's the scale we're dealing with. The outer solar system doesn't operate on human timelines. It operates on cosmic timelines. Finally, we reach Pluto. Yes, technically no longer classified as a planet, but still one of the most fascinating worlds we've ever seen. New Horizons launched in 2006. It arrived in 2015, nearly 10 years later. Think about that. A child entering elementary school when the mission launched would be a teenager before the spacecraft arrived. And what did it find? Not a frozen dead rock, but a living world. Glaciers, mountains, weather, geological activity. A place far more complex than anyone expected, even at the edge of the solar system. Nature still managed to surprise us. And that's when we arrive at the biggest misconception in all of space exploration. The hardest part isn't getting somewhere. It's stopping. Accelerating is relatively easy, but slowing down requires fuel. And fuel adds mass, and mass requires even more fuel, which creates a problem that follows every spacecraft across the solar system, a problem engineers have been fighting for generations. The real limit isn't courage, it's physics. Yet, despite all of these obstacles, humanity keeps going, because every time we reach another world, we discover something extraordinary, a hidden ocean, an alien atmosphere, a mysterious landscape, a new question, and perhaps one day, a second example of life itself. The solar system is not a collection of distant dots in the sky. It is our neighborhood. And despite everything we've achieved, we've barely begun exploring it. Tonight, when you look up at the stars, remember this. Every planet you can see is a real place, a destination, a world waiting to be understood. And the journey has only just begun.